Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. It is I, Emily Sophia, aka M Mighty Sophia, here to break down for you guys the latest episode of Better Call Saul. We are on season 2, episode 8, Fifi, which is named after, of course, the name of the only B-29 jet still flying. So, spoiler alert, as I shall be endeavoring to bear all in this review, and I apologize for it being late. I had a slight issue with my sleep schedule the day before, and so I was too exhausted to even think about reviewing Better Call Saul, but I did view it when it aired live, so I am now here a day later, and hopefully you're here with me too. So, we are just a couple of mere episodes away from the finale of this season, and the time has seriously flown by. I know that there are some who are complaining about the show's pace, or it's going too slow, but I personally am not under that impression. In fact, I am of the firm belief that this is, without a doubt, one of the best shows currently airing on network television. I will fight to the death to support that, but this was yet another soul-soaring and soul-crushing episode. All of the emotions rolled into one great big giant cake of debauchery and sabotage. And of course, the central struggle for much of the episode is one of a tale of two brothers who are unable to root one another on in their successes, and in fact must do everything that they possibly can to trip one another up as they go. Now, of course, Jimmy's reason for going after Chuck is the fact that Chuck went after him by going after Kim and taking the Mesa Verde clientele away from her. And they were going to be her sole client, potentially, for her solo venture that she's starting with Jimmy. So that freaking sucks. They would have been a huge client. She could dedicate all of her time to them, and it would give her enough to get up and going on her own. But of course, that is when Howard Hamlin rushes to Chuck McGill and begs him, hey, we got to do something to try to keep Mesa Verde on our side. Now, it's interesting because we get to see a little bit of the human side of Howard Hamlin, which does not always come out to play in this show. And in fact, he has been portrayed as a cold-blooded monster for much of this season in particular. But he's actually very understanding of Kim's decision to leave HHM, and even reveals a little bit about his own personal backstory and why he ended up going into law the way that he did, and even seems to be kind of envious of Kim as she's striking out on her own and blazing her own trail in the legal justice world. But of course, Chuck comes into play, and he rolls on up with all of his bank law related swagger and makes an incredibly airtight case to the Mesa Verde clients. And for all of the praises that he seems to sing of Kim, he is in fact actually completely undercutting her. And essentially the root of his argument is Kim may be the energetic, vibrant, dynamic future, but us old guys, we know what's really going on for you. We are a team, and we are going to tackle this team-sized effort that is your case. And it's a really stunning argument. And the fact that Chuck is making it in the midst of all of the electromagnetic energy that is completely inundating him, the fact that he could pull out that business and come across so casual and self-assured and professional. I mean, he was rocking it, okay? He's related to his showbiz brother, and I think that Chuck does show business in his own way. And that really came forward when he and Howard came together to make the case to Mesa Verde and retain them. And so that does work out in Chuck's favor. He is, in fact, able to trip up Jimmy in this way, indirectly, of course. And of course, he would never own up to the fact that that's what he's doing. But oh, baby, it is. I'm just saying, for those of you who are even the slightest bit unsure, Kim has become the subject of this game of tug of war between Chuck and Jimmy, because Chuck sees that Kim is someone who makes Jimmy happy, and Jimmy continues to do things that make Chuck very unhappy, i.e. trying to pursue a career in law that Chuck thinks he does not, in fact, deserve. And so there's this familial politics that is at play. And that's not to say that Kim is just an instrument in these men's ploys. Far from it. She is very much a fully formed, independent character doing absolutely badass things on a regular basis. But the fact of the matter is that she is someone for whom Jimmy cares very deeply. And she is kind of coming alongside him to further his career. And that is something that Chuck simply cannot abide. What's really tragic, too, is we even get this instance, this tiny little thread of a glimpse into Chuck's mentality and the care that he has for his brother, because it seems as if he is this despot. He is this enemy looming on the sidelines, looking for any and all opportunities to take Jimmy as a person down. But what he says after he comes to following his latest electromagnetic attack is that if Jimmy was in his situation, that he would step in to help him out too. Which kind of sucks because, well, little does he know what Jimmy was up to while he was sleeping. That being going through all of the Mersavania. Spoonerism there, woohoo. Going through all of the Mesa Verde documents and meticulously changing the address in each and every appearance. Such an insane undertaking that is captured in a very entertaining montage. I'm really happy to see that the show has continued to keep those up as they became such a beloved staple of its predecessor, Breaking Bad. We also even got a really cool tracking shot at the beginning of the episode, which followed the Regalo Helados, Regalo? I forget what it is. The frozen treats truck as it crossed the border through Mexico into the American South and then ultimately made its way up to the Salamanca's headquarters. So those were a couple of very cool, stylish moments in the episode. Also, amazing music. I loved the soundtrack choices that were made in both of those scenes in particular. And so many others throughout this season. I definitely need to check on Spotify and see if there is a playlist or a soundtrack or some kind of collection because, yeah, the music choices have been phenomenal and have created and evoked such strong, fitting moods for the scenes that we're watching unfold. And that's part of the source of this show's power is its ability to tell without just telling. You don't need all of the exposition when in fact there are so many other outlets that the show can tell its story through. And that is what is really clearly communicated with the music in the show. So, yada, yada, yada. Anyways, getting back to Jimmy's misdeeds, of course. Now, we see that he steps in and lets his rage and vindictive nature take over when Kim is threatened. He goes from seeing her in this ecstatic, absolute youthful bliss of that followed her retaining Mesa Verde when she showed up at the dental clinic that Jimmy was hoping the two of them could sign the lease on and use as their new hub together. She comes in and she looks kind of distracted, almost possibly downtrodden. And Jimmy picks up on that right away, but as soon as the realtor steps out of the room, she's all over Jimmy. She is absolutely giddy and just effervescent with joy. And then to see her go from that to sitting on the sidewalk outside of the building, contemplating, is this even worth it? Can we do this? For him to see that is an absolute affront to this incredible woman. And, that pit of love and care that he has inside of her, well, turns into a very sour taste in his mouth when he realizes precisely what it is that Chuck has done. And so now the Cold War ramps up even further. And I do suspect that Chuck is going to figure out pretty quickly what it is that Jimmy did exactly. And then once Kim finds out, well, it's going to be very difficult for her to feel confident in her choice to sign on the clinic that the two of them are now occupying and going to use for their professional endeavors, because she realizes that there is still this aspect of Jimmy that she has to overlook. And with the two of them being in kind of this reciprocal partnership where she helps him and he helps her in their respective times of need, she realizes that even if they are going to be doing things on their own and getting clientele on their own, she's going to have to own up to a lot of things, especially being that the two of them are also romantically involved. So for as much as they have this egalitarian partnership thing going on, well, the balance is threatened by a lot of things, which we see very clearly with another of Jimmy's latest exploits that we see in this episode, that being the whole commercial shoot with Fifi, the B-29, and this ancient withered war hero who is actually a client from his public defender days who got nailed or almost nailed for public masturbation. So he is shooting this balls to the wall, patriotic, ridiculous commercial, of course, with the two hipster dudes who helped him do the original Davis and Maine Sandpiper commercial. And so he's pulling out all the stops once again, but of course he can never do anything in an honest and forthright approach. So he gets this guy to take him in, see the B-29, and of course their tour guide who's showing them the plane and the base. He goes and gets all his buddies, and they want to take a picture with this guy, and oh me, oh my. If Kim only knew what she was missing. He's gone from the, the squat cobblering exploits to, well, only moving on to bigger and better things, of course. And we see in the preview for the upcoming episode that he is only going to continue to step up his game. And now that Chuck is zeroing in on him and realizing the danger that he's in, well, down shall come the cradle and all. That is what I'm anticipating now. We also get to see a little bit of Mike's pursuit of the Salamancas. Of course, he is doing so in the shadows, keeping tabs on the supply chain and trying to figure out a way that he can get a leg up on these guys, because, of course, he has been utilized to try to facilitate the early release of Tuco Salamanca, and in the process, his beloved granddaughter, Kaylee, has been threatened. So, ironically enough, Kaylee actually helps drill the holes into the garden hose that Mike is going to use as a spike strip, ostensibly to slow things down for the Salamancas and maybe get a little bit of a message across. So, very cool to see him back in action. You know, even if he's mostly watching, waiting, learning, planning, these are all incredibly exciting things regardless, because we know that they are going to culminate in something big on Mike's part. And hopefully this is going to be a step in the right direction and a step towards safety for his family, because that's pretty much why he's in this line of work regardless. Yeah, so super, super tense and thrilling episode, I thought. I think that we are definitely setting up for a big end game. I have no idea what it's going to look like, but that's the beauty of it. I'm just along for the ride. So please, by all means, share your thoughts and reactions and analyses with me. I'm more than happy to check out your comments below. Share the video, do whatever you want. So if there's anything major that I missed too, bring it up in the comments, because I do this completely unscripted. I have no idea what key details I might not be mentioning. So bring them on up, y'all. But thank you so much for watching. And as always, I will be back before you know it.